So next up, a man that needs no introduction because you all know who he is. It is Oliver Gleave from Loop. Welcome. Oh, Jesus. See, I told you that it was going. I told you the bloody thing was. There you go. Start.
Thank you.
Off you go.
Appreciate it. Good morning, everybody. Can you hear me? Is it on? All right, good stuff. Lots of familiar faces in the room today. Delighted to see that. And of course, new names, new faces. Those of you that have just joined EXP, those of you that are thinking about it, welcome. By way of an introduction, I'm Ollie. I'm the founder at Loop. You'll know Loop because we're the estate agency software provider, but we also do the agent microsites and, of course, the main EXP website. So I've got about 20 minutes, and we're going to rattle through a couple of things. I'm going to bring you up to speed with where we are as a company. I'm going to talk about the Pocket Edition, which I know a lot of you are somewhat excited about. We're going to look at LoopX, and in between that, we're going to look at 7 things that you can do right here today on your Loop account that are all part of what you already pay, that if you use some of them, all of them, I can guarantee you're going to make more money. All right, so let's get started. So as a business then, we're fortunate in that you guys have grown, and that means we can grow. So for every EXP agent that comes on board, we're able to use that subscription money to invest in team and tech, basically. If you spoke to me a year ago, we'd be half of that. So we're 24 people in the business. That's largely made up of technologists, product designers, and nerds that sit in dark rooms with Diet Coke. We've got about 2,500 daily active users. And we're loading about 150 on a week. And these are not just the EXP agents, as you know, but these are residential sales and lettings agents all over the UK. And outside of the EXP brand, we've got about 650 non-EXP clients. These are brands ranging from single offices to sort of multi-discipline, multi-firm regional leaders, if you like, and everything in between. So we're getting at the serious end of the stick. We're probably 4th in the market in terms of footprint, revenue, headcount, subscriber build, and we can see number 3 in our sites. Okay, so I think in sort of 18 months we're going to be in there in the mix in the top 3, and a lot of that investment is around product development, mobile development. We've put some more resource into our projects team, and we run a pretty lean, efficient organization. So we know that competitors with those numbers are probably looking at 48, 50, 55 heads. I'm determined to keep the service, keep the tech, but obviously scale the business and get out there. So we're going to dive into the 7 features that you might already know about. Some of you are for sure using these. You don't need to jot these down. I'm going to share this information with you afterwards. But here are some of the things you might not know Loop does currently, and then we're going to move on to some more exciting stuff. So number 1, automated viewing feedback. I'm going to go pretty quickly on this. This is a setting that, when enabled, will automatically email the buyer 30 minutes or an hour after the viewing, and it will ask them on their phone to fill in a short survey, the questions of which you decide, and you get feedback from the viewing straight away, and that then uploads directly into the Loop viewing file. It marks the viewing as buyer feedback received. You can then relay that to your seller in a timely way. What we tend to find is that there's a huge amount of engagement on this, north of 70%. It's on the mobile, so it's thumb-friendly, and they tell the truth. Generally speaking, if you can get the feedback fresh, you know it's more accurate, more relevant, because if they're seeing 5 properties, they kind of forget about you at the front. So automated viewing feedback, you can turn it on per property, or you can turn it on by default. So if you're not using that, get on that. Number 2, there's a delay, a bit like Loop. There we go, number 2. So text message confirmations and reminders. Again, what you do there is you pay £10 a month for your specific text line. When you send an outbound text from Loop, it will go to the buyer, the seller, or any of the participants on an appointment in 2 ways. It will confirm the appointment, that's number 1, and then 15 minutes or maybe an hour before the appointment, it will remind them as well. So particularly on viewings, for those of you in high production volumes, that will reduce statistically no-shows and cancellations. So they can reply to that text, that reply comes back into Loop, and it's always better to know that there's no point going or to rearrange rather than driving all the way, finding out they're not there. So text message confirmations and reminders. You can't use your own mobile on that, I'm afraid. It's a number that's sort of in the Loop ecosystem. Portal Autoresponder, tremendous results from this. If you're not using this one, this is probably the highlight of the 7. When you receive a Rightmove inquiry, a Zoopla inquiry, Loop, with this feature enabled, will fire an email immediately back to the buyer, branded with your face and your brand on it, and it will invite the buyer to answer, again, a number of selected questions that you can choose, and that further qualifies the buyer, and that facilitates, that greases the wheels, if you like, of the conversation that you can have with the buyer when you pick up the phone the next day. In Loop, on the inquiries grid, you'll see all of those that have responded to the Autoresponder, that have a little crown on there or a flame on their name, and that's a way of filtering which calls you make in the first place. Generally speaking, this identifies propensity to move, motivation to move, timescales. It means you can have that conversation with them in a more meaningful way. And then the second step, it's completely optional, is you can insert Grange, the mortgage provider, to upsell them a mortgage product. Now, crucially, you're getting it at the first point. If you don't sell them the house, you'll probably sell them the mortgage product, and so you get paid for the outbound Rightmove inquiries. Okay, Portal Autoresponder, come and see us if that's not enabled. That's a game changer. Number 4, we think. Look at that. Okay, viewing opportunities. Hands up those of you that are using buyer matching. You put a property on the market, you match, and you send an email out to people. We're doing that? Great. So Loop tracks all of those stats. When they click on the email, when they open the email, when they forward it to their partner, when they open it, when they click on it. And what we build up over the course of a match of, say, let's say 50 people, are those top 5, top 10 buyers that are regularly opening that email, clicking on that property. Without this thing, you would have to go into the property file, look at the matching tab, and figure out who to call. What the viewing opportunities widget does on the lobby, don't worry if you don't know what that means, we'll help you out, is it shows you a leaderboard of who are the most active and engaged people on that property match. So you can pick up the phone, introduce yourself, knowing that there is a high level of interest on that property. You can convert that conversation to a viewing, and everybody starts moving forward. The viewing opportunities widget is mad. We put it in an 8-office agency on the South Coast, and they found quite literally hundreds of viewings off the back of just enabling that widget. So it works, but it means you've got to keep your matching regular. Pocket Edition. Let's talk about the old Pocket Edition, shall we, quickly? It's dead in the water now, but it was terrible, wasn't it? Didn't work. Lots of red error messages, people shouting at me. We're all a bit sad in the Loop office. So we've grown up a bit. We've hired a team. We're using all new tech, and we've built a new version of Pocket, the early version of which is probably, hopefully, on your devices today. If it's not, go to the App Store, download it. It's on App Store, iOS, and Google Play. It's a native app. So what we mean by that is it's fast. It caches information, which means you don't need a 4G signal everywhere you go. And we're bringing lots of functionality to Pocket. Right now, you can look at people, find a phone number, get a property, look at your diary. Hopefully, that is reliable, robust, fairly quick. So we've set the foundations for that. And there's a lot more coming, which I'm going to talk about in a minute. Okay, but if you haven't got Pocket Edition, I will allow you to bring your phones out now and download it. Get on that because it's moving. And that's really our focus over the summer. You're going to see a lot of work going into Pocket. Coming to the end of this then, Property Hub. Again, if you don't use this, this is probably by a vendor basis. Property Hub is the conduit between you and your seller, and it allows you to share information from Loop in real time to the seller. I'm talking about viewings, viewing feedback, offers you've received, property stats, marketing stats, and whilst it's sort of self-serve portal, they're still going to want you. You are the personal agent after all. What it does do is allow them to feel more connected to you. And by the way, they're using apps like this in all other walks of life. The expectation, if you like, of the sellers of today is that they have at least something to go and look at without needing to go through you. That doesn't mean you're any less valuable. What it means is you're on the ball, you're tech-enabled, and you're able to have a meaningful conversation without explaining the detail behind it. So Property Hub, if you're unsure about that, it's all included in what you pay EXP already. It's a good-looking piece of kit, and it's great for your vendors and your landlords if you do property management. And then finally, the Referral Network. This thing's paying out dollars, right? So some of you have had success here. This is where you register a buyer locally but has a property to sell outside of your area. You can then refer a nearby EXP agent. If they value, instruct, and exchange on that referred property, you get paid. And you get paid the amount of money that they offer on the Referral Network. We've seen 30%, we've seen 50% from some people. Just put your hands up if you've received a check the other way for a referral that you've made. At least 70 of you. 7. It's moving, it's building momentum, and it's getting there. You guys are leaving money on the table. I'm not going to tell you the number. It's about £1 million, but there is a huge amount of referral revenue sat in the database right now that if some of you sat there and clicked buttons, I promise you'd make money. So if you're unsure about that, we're probably going to run a webinar for this just to show you the power of that. The data's already in the system. That buyer is coming from Rightmove. You just have to select the right agent and click send. Loop will track that referral all the way from inquiry to completion, and the leadership team, the head office team, will make sure you get paid. Thousands of pounds flying around that network as I speak. Okay, let's talk about Pocket then. We like Pocket. We're getting more confident with Pocket. We're kind of proud of ourselves because it wasn't easy. And I won't bore you with the technology, but it's an all-new tech play. We're going to talk about version 6 and 7. If you've just downloaded the app today, you'll have had version 1.0.5. What we're talking about here is what happens next week, version 6, and what happens at the end of July, version 7. So we're moving every 2 weeks. And every 2 weeks, we put something in or a number of things in that we think are going to be useful to you. So the first one that's coming is quick actions. So when you are on an appointment, you pull Pocket out of your pocket, you look at it, and it knows you're on a viewing, and therefore the actions that you're probably going to want to do on that viewing would be didn't turn up, cancel, rearrange, or put feedback in. We know that because it's a viewing. We also know where you are, right? So these little buttons here, buyer feedback, cancel viewing, book new viewing, you can actually take buyer feedback, for example. That's the example I'm showing, where you can stand there and say, let's just get your feedback right now. And you can tap that in, you can dictate it in, you hit the done button, and that's the viewing followed up effectively. So that's an example of quick actions. We've got 5 or 6 of those things that are going to be appointment specific. Let's look at the next one. Insights in the palm of your hand. I can't wait for this one. The Rightmove stats, the Zoopla stats in Loop under the marketing tab. We all know that, right? Looks kind of cool. There's bar graphs, there's engagement numbers. We're putting that information into Pocket, and that's coming next week. So you're able to sit there with instructed vendors and talk to them about what's been happening with their property. And what it shows, even if you don't necessarily convey the numbers in a really analytical way, you're showing that your finger is on the pulse, that you're in touch with the market, you're building confidence yet again with that seller. You're probably going to keep the instruction. And you can pull that out of your pocket at any time. You can also use that one on appraisal to talk about pricing strategy and things like that. But we're stoked for that one. It's also going to include your website stats as well, because luckily for you, Loop powers the website. So we've got that card in there as well. Next one is market data. So for those of you that have prospecting enabled in Loop, we try and sell that to you all the time, don't we? Sending letters, sending postcard, delivered to doorstep. We want you to start thinking bigger about prospecting. We're renaming it to market data. And what we mean by that is we're taking the address information that we have, and we're going to start to enrich that with insights that you've never had before or that you would get from a third-party system. And we're going to start to lace that into the CRM experience. I'll give you an example. On Pocket Edition, you're looking at an appraisal. You've come out of the appraisal. We've got a feature coming called 5 in 5. So that shows you the nearest 5 properties that are on the market with other agents. And you can walk to those properties, leaflet drop, door knock, or canvas. And you may as well, right, because it's a 5-minute trip. And you've just been in the area. So your marketing material can be written up to reflect the fact you're valuing in the area. And then you can go and nick another 2 or 3 out of that 5. So that's just an example of where we're using the convenience of Pocket with the power of data and putting the two together. So we're excited for that. Much more to come on market data. Okay, appointments on the move. I'm hoping for a cheer on this one, but the ability to book viewings, book appraisals, move appointments, cancel stuff, put stuff into your diary, that is coming. We think it's at the end of July, but don't hold me to that. It might be the first week of August, but it's coming. So thank you. Got a clap down here from Alex. Come on. It took us a year and a half, but let's not go there. So here we go. And I know for those of you in Purple Bricks, you've had this all the time. If you've come from Nested, it's kind of so what. For us, we're loving it. We're very pleased. Yeah, we can't wait to bring this on. So we're starting to get a little bit more confident on working with the data, pushing data back in. You want to get that right. Otherwise, Alex books a viewing in Ben Moore's diary and everybody falls apart. So we've had to think about that. But that's coming. And the diary itself is going to start to feel like and behave like Google Calendar. It's slick. It's clean. You can drag, hold, and drop. It's all that kind of stuff. That's coming. And then the one-tap personal assistant, let's just touch on this. Conscious of time, I've got 5 minutes to go. If anyone's used Ringo, you pay for your parking, and then conveniently, when you pull your phone out of your pocket, you've got a lock screen widget, which tells you how long you've got left, right? We're going to do the same with Loop. So what this does is it stays with you all day, and it shows you what you've currently got. So the appointment you're on, if you tap on that, it takes you directly into Loop Pocket on that appointment. So if you're on a viewing and they ask you about, has it got gas central heating? I think it's okay these days to pull the phone out and go, let me just check. And you're straight into the property file, straight onto the heating tab, and there you go. So that's coming. And then we've got the up next. Now this is cool, if we can get it working. The guy in the room that's gonna build it, Henry, put your hand up. Henry's in the room. Guy right at the back, go and see him. He's building it. He's not quite sure how yet, but here's how it works. This is the next appointment in orange. So you're in a viewing, you're about to go to an appraisal. We're looking at two things, where you are right now and live traffic data. So when you get the triple tap or the triple buzz in your pocket, it's time to leave, because if you don't leave now, you're going to be late for that appraisal, okay? So Loop's going to start to have a heartbeat, push notifications, vibrations, dare I say it, and all the stuff that makes this thing feel like it's with you. So we can't wait for that, and there's lots that we can do with haptics, which is a cool way of saying it vibrates in your pocket. But we're looking at that. That's called the Now and Next feature, and that's sort of coming mid-August, we think. Okay, so that's Pocket. That's our goal over the summer, really. But when we look at the overall Loop platform, we've actually been doing this for about 4 years now, and we're looking at it in a hypercritical way. It works, it's mechanically okay, it's feature-rich, but times are moving on. Software's becoming faster, more easy. Your expectations of what you want Loop to do are going through the roof. That's fine. We have to re-platform Loop. So this is not a cosmetic facelift, all right? We're not going to make the system look great, but still bring all of the performance issues that we've got in certain areas with us. We're re-platforming. What that means is the foundations of the property are being dug out. We're going deeper, we're laying more concrete, and we're building a bigger house. Bigger house, better house, more energy efficient. The analogies go on. But it is time to re-platform. What does that mean? It means we're going to be introducing LoopX at the end of the year. Now, you've already seen some flavors of LoopX in the Pocket Edition. We thought we'd have a little bit of a play with that. So fundamentally, the architecture, the design, the way we tool and build this out is already being proven by the teams in LoopX Pocket. We're now stretching our legs into desktop. And when we say desktop, we mean iPad, laptop, and obviously your computer at home. And there's lots of things we want to do. So if we just go back one, we want you to fundamentally, this is not about us indulging in software. This is about us building tooling for you to earn more and do less. You are time sensitive and you want to earn more money. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. We have to stand shoulder to shoulder with you on that at a principal level and build stuff that's relevant that helps you earn more and do less. Secondly, we think we've got things that just get in the way, right? Compliance, AML, identity checks, terms of business, right? All of that stuff. We want to do a better job of that document management. And so we've got a whole piece going around compliance to automate that, to improve our integrations, and to just make that clicks of a button rather than uploads and go into a different dashboard and all that kind of stuff. And I'm working with Adam and other people to improve that. So we've got a compliance piece coming that's going to save you a lot of headaches and money on Nurofen and stuff like that. And we also want to get back to what we think we do really well, right, which is innovate and inspire. We've got a huge amount of brain power in the company, and we've got a lot of ideas. And indeed, a lot of the ideas from the floor make it to the product. They don't make it quickly enough. We've got what we call a backlog. It's a horrible word, but it's about 1,000 items deep, and they're all really good things that we want to do. The problem is, on Loop O, right, the original version, the thing that you've got in your hands now, it's just a little bit hard to do that. It's like wading through treacle. With LoopX, we unblock and we can build at scale, we can build quickly, and we know exactly how we want it to work. So we want to get back to that. Concept overview. Now, I'm going to run out of time. I want to show you more, but I'm not going to do that. So if you want to see it, come and see me, and I'll show you under the hood. But it's coming in October. LoopX, from a conceptual level, is faster, it's easier, there are fewer clicks, and we're focusing on the basics. What does it look like to register a buyer? What does it look like to cancel a viewing? What does it look like to walk somebody through an appraisal? They work currently in Loopo, but they can be so much better, so much simpler, so much faster. So we want to get out the way, and we're calling it a tech and touch philosophy, where we can automate the shit out of this, really, if we wanted to, but we're not going to do that. The value is in technology standing with you and enabling you to provide a better service, develop trusted relationships with your clients. And that's really the concept for LoopX. So Don't hold me on this. This was pulled out of the labs. The guys were kicking and screaming, don't show anybody, Ollie. It's not ready yet. It doesn't look very good. But I couldn't resist. So we're going for a horizontal nav at the top. We've got search where you would expect it, and you can shortcut key to the search. There's a lot less on the nav now because it's tucked in under the navigation. And then if you were to click on viewings, for example, you get a viewings dashboard. There's a dashboard for offers, sales, buyers. The diary's wicked. On the left, you've got stuff you need to do. Viewings to book, viewings not confirmed, viewings without feedback. And on the right, then, we've got past viewings, giving you a real-time stat on how busy are you, how engaged are you. And then if you go to the second part of the screen on the left, all of the viewings coming up. That's kind of useful. You'll see that in the diary anyway, but it's here as well. And then on the right, we've got some really cool stuff, which are specifically upsell opportunities for you as agents. We've got quick lists in Lupo. Guarantee none of you use them because they're awkward, horrible, they don't make sense, they don't really work. What we've got here are things like people that have viewed the property, that were interested in the property, but haven't yet booked a second viewing. 42 of them. You click into that, you can ring them and you know why. That's an entirely different list of people to say second chances. This is people that viewed a property, that then went under offer, that then fell through. You go back to the other 11 that have viewed to tell them it's back on the market, right? You can probably do that, and you probably do that. But if it's one tap away, you can get to that straight away, and you are actually then making the calls, okay? Lots of concepts in here, not enough time to go through it. And then down the bottom, a few more trends. And we're going to benchmark as well in the area because of our footprint. So we're going to show you where you are relative to other agents. That's what it looks like if you zoom out. Don't look too closely. It is a chemistry experiment. We're mixing liquids in test tubes. But we've got a busy summer, so we're rolling this thing out. The teams are hard at work. We're all over the world now with developers. It's mad how it's gone. We've got people in Jakarta, Singapore. I think we're in the Ukraine now, and we've just put a guy in South Africa. So we are ballooning with our capability. We're hard at work on LoopX, and it rolls out in October. That's it from me. As always, great to see you guys. Come and see us at the stand. We've got lots to talk about. Thanks for having us.
Thank you very much, Oliver. So Oliver is just going to do a quick handover of his headset, audio guy, to the next person. We'll give that a couple of minutes. Thank you very much, Ollie. I should have been out the front watching that because I didn't see any of it, so I don't know what's going on. But it sounded pretty good. So I'm hopefully it will be good. But I know it will be because Ollie's looking after it, and we're super proud and super pleased to be in business with Ollie and Loop at the team there.